Rejoice and sing now all around her, bright with a glorious splendor. For darkness has been vanquished by our eternal King. Rejoice and be glad now, Mother Church, and let your holy courts in radiant light resound with the praises of your people.
This is a sermon. We're doing tonight is a sermon. But I think this particular gospel passage, there are many, many different interpretations of resurrection. And one of the things that the early church has always said, that it's not about the resuscitation of a corpse. The earliest traditions of the resurrection of Jesus, there wasn't a story of the tomb, and there wasn't the story of the appearances of Jesus in the flesh. The earliest appearance of the risen Christ was St. Paul. This was probably 30 years before this gospel that I just read. So the earliest experiences that Jesus is risen from the dead was a kind of creed. And the Gospels came 30 years later. And tomorrow morning, actually, my sermon, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the kind of layers of this. But what's really fascinating about this story, and there are many different, sometimes contradictory interpretations of what happened on that morning. But in this particular story, what's significant is that Mary of Magdala becomes an apostle. The fact that she is the person who encounters this risen, new Christ. And it's interesting because she doesn't know him. Yet she does know him. So they're part of this. The risen Christ is something that may or may not be connected to the physical Jesus that she knew a couple of days before. But it's very interesting that she is the one who is sent to tell the disciples. It's very powerful, that, in terms of the role of women in the church. And the power not only is the idea that she is the first apostle to be sent, go and tell, but the message that she tells is also about, it's this wonderful inclusive message. And remember, the disciples have all abandoned Jesus in the story, right? A couple of days ago, they weren't to be found. And there isn't any kind of pain or regret or anger. It's kind of just go and tell them that I'm ascending to their Father and my Father, their God and my God, that we're all in this together. I love this story. It's a beautiful story. The way that Mary is weeping and grieving, and all of a sudden is called into a whole new reality, a whole new ministry that the church is still divided over in terms of the role of women in the church. So we pray that God's light and God's truth and God's presence among us will continue to shift the traditional ways in which we think of not only resurrection, of the shared ministries of men and women together in the church to bring about healing in God's world. Amen. That's not bad for an off-the-cuff kind of. I've been thinking about this for a while, but it's not bad for an off-the-cuff kind of sermon. Tomorrow's is going to be more on, but actually tomorrow I was telling Cam and Bill, I'm going to be talking about this amazing window tomorrow and the story of it. And what's interesting is we don't often get to see it in this light. And so it's a real gift to kind of see and it's called the Old Rugged Cross. And it's very powerful. So anyway, so tune in tomorrow. If you can't be here, it'll be live on the website.